RootsOfTheSwampThing.com, your definitive online source for all things Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing is heating up. A brand new series coming from Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. A brand new TV series on DC's streaming service online. RootsOfTheSwampThing.com. A lot of stuff about his history, what he's doing today, and everything in between. Go to RootsOfTheSwampThing.com for more information. Welcome to Wednesday Comics.
Brought to you by RootsOfTheSwampThing.com and SuperCon 2018 Return of the Con.
Hey everyone, keep turning those pages.
Welcome to Wednesday Comics. To my right, we have Captain Marvel himself. Alex, how you doing?
Hello everybody.
And across from me, Nick Fury himself. Alex, Garrett, how you doing? How come I always call you Alex?
I
I don't know.
I
think because, to be fair, let's face it, I kind of look like Nick Fury. My hair's got that gray tone in it.
You called me Nick Fury.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying.
I'm talking about a young Nick Fury.
I can see through both eyes?
And I am your host, Marvin Goose. How you doing, baby? So,
What? He just like
From Top Gun.
Yeah, he went from Marvel to Top Gun.
No. In the Captain Marvel trailer, Goose is in there.
Who the fuck's Goose?
Or Cat.
Her cat's name is Goose?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
We are Wednesday Comics Podcast talking about, actually, no reviews this week. I almost said we're going to read the books for this week, but that's not accurate or true, which means the same thing. We are here to tell you the top 5 writers of 2018, top 5 artists of 2015. We're each going to go through our own.
2015?
I'm rolling back, baby.
Holy shit.
2105.
We weren't even doing the show yet.
2018, excuse me. Sorry, but I got confused.
I feel like this beginning is like super shitty.
We're going to talk about the Avengers trailer, and there's some rumors they might go back in time. I was just getting used to it, so I don't know. Avengers Endgame. First off, right up front, that's what the movie's going to be called. I think we all knew that.
You were the one that was like, no, they're not going to call it Endgame.
Why didn't I say that? I went back to text and I looked. I went back to our text and looked, and I was like, it's called Avengers Endgame, and you said no. It's going to be called
Bullshit, I said
Avengers Annihilation.
This is identity theft. This is identity
I
theft.
don't remember what I wanted it to be called. Was it Sanctuary? Or was it...
Well, I think we all had names for it.
No, you said Avengers Reborn.
No, I did not.
I wanted Annihilation. That's what I
Bullshit.
wanted.
How? What's that?
I wanted Avengers Annihilation. That's what I wanted it to be called.
No, you were saying it was going to be like Thanos Quest or like...
What?
Yes.
Roll back the tape, baby.
Do it. I dare you.
In the first Avengers movie, this is how I knew this, Garrett. In the first Avengers movie, he says that up there, that's the end game. So we all knew from the beginning it was going to be called Endgame. Because that's what he called Thanos.
I'll hold his arms. You punch the shit.
So in this trailer at the beginning, we see Tony Stark saying he's going to be dead ASAP the next morning. No oxygen, no food. He's talking to a helmet, leaving the last message for Pepper Potts. Doesn't even know if she's alive. She could be dead. And
I thought he was talking to like the helmet as Iron Man. No, I'm kidding. I knew it was Pepper.
what happened to Nebula? She just takes off?
Well,
see her
that made me
later.
kind of curious what's going to be happening.
In the trailer, when she like pops her head in, she's on the same ship. So I think it's
you
just a
sure?
cutscene. Yeah.
She stands next to Thor when that happens.
When she steps in.
Take a look at the tape.
I'd have to watch it again because when you played it, I thought, okay, I remember him sitting on the spaceship
I
by
remember
himself.
standing by herself.
I thought she was on Titan standing there by herself. That's what I had remembered seeing.
She's on a ship. Definitely on
Is she
a
on a
ship.
ship? Okay.
But also, or like in some sort of building.
With the
Maybe the
Bifrost,
ship, we don't know what's going on.
Does the Bifrost still work?
It does, but you have to know,
Providing his hammer?
Yeah.
you have to know where they're at.
No, I get that, but I'm just asking, does the Bifrost and his hammer would work?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would assume so.
Okay.
Why wouldn't it?
I was just wondering. I didn't know if, I guess Heimdall's dead, so you don't need Heimdall to run the Bifrost.
You can't because
Spoilers.
Heimdall's dead.
That's what I just said.
Do you think that
Did you hear me say that?
that in the future the Bifrost might be the appropriate way of transportation?
I wonder if Ghost Rider's going to show up in this. That'd be sweet. With his mastodon when they go back in time.
So, a question. Tony Stark, is he going to die?
Robert Downey Jr.'s character, Tony Stark, yes. Iron Man, probably not. Someone else.
Well,
will take over.
did I say is Iron Man going to die? I said Tony Stark. Is
You said Iron Man.
no, I didn't.
he's-
Roll back the tape.
He said Tony
You
Stark.
said Tony Stark. Fine.
Tony Stark will be dead.
Yeah, he's definitely dying.
Is he gonna
or I don't
die?
think he's gonna die. I think
Not
he's
in
just
that
gonna
scene.
he's gonna go out like Rick Grimes in Walking Dead, just like, all right, guys, well I'm around. Never see him again.
It's okay. I don't think he'll die, but I don't think he'll die in the plane or the ship.
No, he'll die fighting Thanos. I think.
He'll sacrifice himself.
But I think
'cause that's the end.
I think Captain will die. I think Steve Rogers.
Russo brothers already said, sorry, that Chris Evans isn't done after Infinity War.
Yeah, but they also said it wasn't called Endgame, and it's called Endgame.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I can pull this quote right now.
All right, do it.
I said that's the one. I mean,
I call your bluff.
how much of these things are they going to say?
Yeah, like they're gonna say, "Hey, by the way, I'll tell you part of the movie that I'm not allowed to talk about."
because I would hope that as horrible as it is, I want there to be some meaningful deaths. Everyone getting decimated, yeah, sad, but I know they're not gone.
Well, I don't think Thor's going anywhere.
No, I think Thor will stay. I think he's going to be. I don't know what to expect from this movie, and I think that's okay. A part of me is. How do you make that decision?
What's
The
that
Russo
website?
brothers totally lied. It's like in a million websites. Which one do you want me to pull?
What's the one you just pulled up?
Movie Web. Comicbook.com,
Never heard of
Complex Magazine,
Never heard of
Inverse,
it.
Forbes.
Never. Heard of Forbes.
How Marvel misled us on Avengers Endgame. After last summer's Avengers Infinity War ended with the villain Thanos murdering half of the universe, fans of that were eager for the next installment, Avengers 4, however, Marvel held its cards close, and up until recently included hiding the cutting film's title. On Friday, that mystery was finally unraveled when the film's first trailer was revealed as Avengers Endgame. But here's the problem with that. The Russo brothers, the film's director, had implied that would not be the title.
Implied.
You can shove it up.
Loophole.
Mike Ryan asked the Russo brothers if the title of Avengers 4 would indeed be hidden in any dialogue in Infinity Wars. Joe Russo said no. There's no possible way the film's title could be Endgame. Get out of town. So who says they're
That's
fucking
what
misleading you?
MovieWeb.com said.
No, that's what Joe Russo said.
I don't know.
And you said Joe Russo said that Captain America is going to survive, and I'm telling you,
I didn't say
they-
Joe Russo. I said the Russo
they
brothers.
just talk bullshit. They're not going to tell you the plot of the movie.
They don't even know what they're going to do yet.
I guarantee you that
Most
Cap
of the
or
original cast is dead.
Tony's going to die. So people have to die in this fucking movie
Yeah.
because half of them are going to come back. People are going to feel like they're cheated unless people really die.
Like, I hope Loki stays dead.
I
mean,
think
he
we've
got his
discussed
neck
this.
smashed, yeah.
I think anybody not killed by the decimation or snap is dead for sure.
Yeah, and I think Gamora's gone. I mean, she was killed obviously
Oh,
to
hell
get.
no.
Yes.
She was
Absolutely.
sacrificed in the Soul Stone.
Yeah. Dead.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
No. Her soul's in there. 100%.
I saw her body.
Okay.
Vessel without a soul. Got nowhere to go.
No, the soul
Take that to
survived.
the...
What about Ghost Cap? Boom.
Let's not go there.
Boom.
We don't
Roast it.
We don't want to see that in film. So we're gonna talk about the trailer here. So Cap's crying. I would have cried too, baby. And
He's crying because he's like, I finally get to be in the movie.
Yeah, no kidding.
what does that mean? He was in the last movie.
Yeah, but he
Very
didn't do
rarely.
anything. He
What
was
do you
barely
mean? He's
in
the
it.
star of that movie.
He's
No.
the star of that movie.
He had no character
Thanos comes
development.
at him and he holds him back,
No, I agree.
You're talking about the 10-second slow-mo scene where Thanos is killing everybody?
and he leads that whole army against Thanos.
Along with Black Panther.
Along with Black Panther. No,
It's Black Panther's army. He's like a general in that scene, but Cap is the Cap.
but
really.
but Captain America, he was in it, but he wasn't. They didn't put a lot of
He
spotlight.
wasn't as
on
prominent to me as I expected him to be.
him, which I think that's why this one he'll be more prominent.
Well, that's because you two hate America and you don't want to see Cap.
That's
die.
weird. We want
Right.
Captain America to be in
Right,
this
but we
movie
hate
more,
America.
and we hate America.
Black Widow's in this. She's
Hates
also
spiders.
she's sad too, but not crying. And she's
She's heartless.
Do
you guys think
She's-
that-
You know what? I'm the Black Widow of the group.
Do you guys think that her hair is white because she has no more red in her ledger?
white. It's blonde like the last movie.
Blonde? That's white.
There's no way.
Bleached.
That is 100%. That's like the bleachest blonde.
It's the
I've
same
ever
color
seen.
it was in the last movie.
I know, which is white.
No, it was blonde in the last movie.
I don't think that's blonde.
You know,
I
I'll show
call
you
it
the wrong.
white.
I would say white.
No.
I'll pull it
Type
up.
in Black Widow blonde, and I guarantee you that picture pulls up. So, anyways, and then we see
Probably underneath the picture, will be, what the fuck is
we
this?
see Hawkeye return as Ronin
Yep.
because probably his family's R.I.P. All dead. And now he's on a killing spree. Here's
Is
the
that what
question.
Ronan? See, now to be fair, I haven't read the that new Avengers by Bendis. I know Ronan's in it. Is that the persona that he takes? Is like a more vengeful, brutal character?
He doesn't want to be Hawkeye anymore.
Some people are calling it blonde, but that looks like white to me.
I always think it looks white.
Yeah.
It's blonde. You guys need to get your fucking eyes checked.
Well, why do you think I'm wearing my glasses?
That is the lightest shade of blonde I've ever seen.
See, there's the thing. There's also 28 different shades of blonde.
You know what I
This is
heard?
the
Grandma Black Widow.
I heard there's 50
Grandma
Shades
Widow?
of Grey. Is that true?
Yes.
Is that
If there's 50
accurate?
Shades of Grey in this, I'm out.
So here we go. Ronan,
Yes.
we see him. He's using his swords instead of arrows. Brings that game close.
Also,
he's-
all sharp and pointy.
Here's a question I have though. As people are theorizing that he's going around killing Skrulls, like that's what he's doing. Otherwise, like, why is he just like on missions or like what do you think his role is? Because in that trailer, he's attacking what it looks like he's in Japan attacking the Triad, right?
Yeah.
Yakuza. And so
I think that's two different things. Yakuza is Japanese. The Triad to be Chinese.
okay, Yakuza then. And there he's attacking the Yakuza, and so like unless he's like some part of a government organization or like what's he doing?
I feel it's something to do with his family because, like, the whole reason he went into hiding was because of his family. Like, he didn't want them to be exposed or have his kids without a dad.
But if they got decimated,
That's
got
what I'm
snapped
saying.
away.
Yeah, that's why I think
Oh
something
wait, no,
happened
no.
to them.
In the last movie, Infinity War, I haven't seen it since in theaters. It's gonna be on Netflix December 25th, Christmas. Didn't they say that Hawkeye was doing a mission for the government as part of like a plea bargain because he turned himself in?
I thought that was Ant-Man and that he was in
He
that
got house
program.
arrest.
Yeah, house arrest.
Well, anyways, he's
I thought
killing
Hawkeye
people.
was on house arrest as well.
He's killing people.
What we just said.
No, you said
No, Ant-Man.
Well, Ant-Man, yeah. And I said in Ant-Man. They
Oh,
said
and
Hawkeye.
Ant-Man. Okay.
Uh,
He's you're
I know.
aggressive like me normally.
and then at the end of the
You guys aren't
movie,
listening.
You're the Wolverine of this group
speaking
today.
of Ant-Man, at the
Kill
end of the movie, Scott Lang shows up.
Hi guys, remember me?
And they're like, "Hey, is this an old footage? No, it's live outside right now." Do you guys think? Here's what I'm going to throw at you. Scott Lang, if it is him, how does he get out of the quantum realm? And two, is it possible? And why Captain Marvel comes out first? That he's a Skrull.
Oh. For the record, I just told these guys I haven't watched Wasp and Ant-Man. They just spoiled parts of it.
Oh, fuck.
Oh shit! Oh fuck!
Well, get with the times, motherfucker.
Well, what do you
Came
think
out
they
in
were surprised to
July.
see him?
I don't know. They didn't remember who he was.
What
They
do you
didn't
think
care.
his picture was missing in the thing?
I guess
and,
they,
you know,
but
he
they
didn't die in
did. But they
Infinity War.
did fight with him in Civil War, like
Yeah.
on the same side. So I guess they knew who he was.
You weren't
Okay.
curious why they were like, "Hey, is this old?"
Well, I just assumed they're in the past, and they're seeing a future.
So
thing.
do you
Holy
believe the
shit.
time travel theory that they're going to go back in time to beat Thanos?
I could
I wouldn't
see
like
it.
that though. I hate when they do time travel just to like reverse what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to more of a better storytelling. Like, I feel like there's some other way that they're going to get these heroes back, not just going in time and being like, hey, guess what? If you kill Thanos better, it won't
If
happen.
you kill Thanos better,
I would hope they would use the stones
yeah.
to kill him, but
Like, I could see if they went back in time to get, like, the Infinity Gauntlet, as opposed to, like, reversing the heroes, but, like...
we know they're basing part of it. So like the first movie was a mix of Infinity, an original story, and then Infinity Gauntlet. They mixed it all so you can tell what's going on. If we really are going off of Infinity Gauntlet, Thanos does become a good guy, and they all go against Nebula. But I don't see that happening in this movie.
That's a lot to expect of the
that'd be a big change of
audience.
events where everyone already hates Thanos now for what he's done to these heroes. That it'd be. I mean, I could see Nebula still turning on them because that seems to fit her character, but they're still going to be going up against Thanos. Who knows? I guess you don't know. I mean, this is one of those movies. It's hard to tell what's going to be going on for the fact that they may just be mixing all sorts of things together now.
So, two more questions, and we can move on to our top five. It's in April now, not in May anymore. They moved it up 2 weeks because it was going to compete with Pikachu, Detective Pikachu, and they didn't want to compete with it, so they moved it up. And
I don't think there's going to be much of a competition between.
what do you mean?
those two.
People aren't going
Are
to see
you
Detective
fucking kidding
Pikachu?
me?
That
Right.
movie's going to blow
That's gonna
every
be
other
the-
movie of the weekend out of the water.
Yeah, once Detective Pikachu
People
comes
love
out, it's
Pokemon.
all over.
People love Pokemon, dude. It's got nostalgia. It's got current people from Pokemon Go. A new game just came out. I don't think you understand the power of the poke.
I guarantee you it'll make more money than Avengers.
No, I don't know about that.
You don't think so?
I don't know about that.
No.
Internationally?
Internationally, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I just meant like total.
In Japan, yes. In China, probably.
Internationally combined.
Racist.
Internationally combined. Why? It originated in Japan.
Those are two
So?
different nations. It's okay.
I bet internationally, yes, possibly. But domestically,
Oh, Avengers
no.
will.
Yeah.
People are going to go see that movie. I think I went and saw Avengers Infinity War 3 times in theaters.
So April, we have Captain Marvel in March. Do you think also Captain Marvel spoils a little bit of like is the after credit scene, is that going to be her showing up in it for Avengers Endgame? Or do you think we won't see it won't be connected at all?
I feel like maybe you'll just get the receiving end of the page that Nick Fury sent out at the mid-credit scene of Infinity War.
Oh,
Like she'll see it?
Yeah, she'll be like, oh,
the response to
Yeah.
her. Okay.
right. There'll be some kind of scene where she notices something weird and then like gets the page and is like, oh fuck.
You know, the one thing
Captain
that-
Marvel up.
That kind of makes me sad is nowadays, instead of getting all those reveals at the end of a movie going, what's the next one we're going to see? Oh, it's Thor. Now we're getting all these, like, I know things are coming out along the line. I know some movies of Phase 4, or at least one movie of Phase 4. So, like, Spider-Man's coming back. It's like, yeah, that's exciting, but I almost wish that I didn't know movies are coming back.
Did you guys
And that
know?
Endgame literally was going to be, I don't know, is this the end?
I mean, if you want to keep yourself in the dark, you can. Did you want to know some spoilers? I mean, not spoilers, but so the Spider-Man Far From Home trailer premiered, but it wasn't on the internet. It premiered at Brazil at Comic-Con Experience, something like that.
I heard it's supposed to come out this weekend to tie in with
It
like
might
the
come in with
release
Spider-Verse,
Spider-Man into the
which would be
Spider-Verse.
today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it did come out. We're recording this on Thursday. But there's one part of that trailer that everybody was surprised about. And do you want to know it?
No.
Why? I want to know it. What? Why? It's a trailer. They're not telling you like the
Is it Miles
climax.
Morales as Spider-Man?
Dude, just
Is it Punisher Spider-Man?
he
Why
can
is that?
handle it. It's a trailer.
Well, you guys have already spoiled other things for me, so why not?
I know.
Catch up to 2019, buddy. All right, go for
Not
it.
even 2019 yet, dick licker.
We know Mysterio's in the movie played by Jake Gyllenhaal,
Yeah.
who at one time, good trivia, who at one time was going to be Spider-Man. When Tobey Maguire hurt his back for Spider-Man 2, he was going to fill in for him, replace him. And then Tobey Maguire got healed, and he's like, okay, I'm going to do it then. But we know he's going to be Mysterio, and the trailer shows that he's not the bad guy of the movie. He's actually helping Spider-Man. He's a good guy in the movie.
Oh, that's what I heard. I did read an article about that. They're like teaming up.
Yeah, I guess he knows Nick Fury or something like that. And so they're playing it like Mysterio used to help out S.H.I.E.L.D. and now he helps out Peter Parker in that movie.
Oh, I did hear about that too, that Nick Fury's more of his mentor than Tony Stark
Yeah.
will be, because probably at this point, obviously Robert Downey Jr. is adios, auf Wiedersehen.
Possible.
Isn't
possibly.
is he wearing is it the stealth suit he's wearing? Because I've seen
Spider-Man, yeah.
or it's the
It
noir
looks
suit.
like the noir, but
The
they're
big-
calling it the stealth suit.
Oh man, I hope that means it's going to be the big time
Oh,
green
Yeah.
suit. Oh shit, yeah.
I'm sure you'll see a mix of the classic suit, stealth suit, all the goods.
I hope he gets a rotation, or not even a rotation, but I hope he gets a handful of suits, or at least like 2, and not the callback to his homemade one.
Right.
I want him to at least, if he's going to a callback, do the
Well, they've
Stark
already
suit.
done that, so I don't think they're going to do it twice.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I mean,
Spider-Man.
I'm excited, but also it's like, I know.
So we don't know who the actual bad guy is.
I don't think so.
Holy shit!
I feel like
There you go. There's
eventually,
Craven the
I mean, I feel
Hunter.
like it could still end with
But who would those two fight?
Jake Gyllenhaal being.
We got a little
bad
time
guy
because we
again.
got
Well, I say it's all going to be. Now we're on to Spider-Man.
Who would it be though? You guys are the Spider-Man plot experts. Who do you put? Mysterio? Why would he need to team up with Peter Parker?
But you don't team it up. You do the gauntlet like type thing where
Mysterio.
Peter thinks he's working with.
Oh, and he's a
Mysterio.
little
And he-
illusion.
Yes, he's
He's an illusionist.
Yes. You're on to something right.
Okay. So, and then he pulls the wool over his eyes and he calls ta-da.
And he's not wearing the stealth suit anymore.
Yeah. And that's why he needs a stealth suit, because otherwise Mysterio sees him.
Boom.
Yeah, it's all up in the air.
Ruin
I'm
that
excited
movie.
though. I mean, one of the villains looked like it was going to be Scorpion. I don't think the main villain, but I think you're still going to.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He's gonna be in that movie.
So
Scorpion, because they kind of teased it at the end of the first one. Maybe Vulture gets loose.
I'm sure we'll get a cameo.
I hope, because he was so ruined, that we see Rhino. Like legit
Legit Rhino.
bring him back and like redeem that, because that was, ooh, buddy, that's the worst part of Amazing Spider-Man 2.
No, the worst part, yeah, that last fight scene.
Oh yeah, buddy.
Just talking to that kid.
I'm gonna get ya.
Rhino doesn't care. He would have just blown everybody away.
He's trying to shoot. Yeah, he's shooting right at the people. And Spider-Man's like, "Here, you can do some flips and throw the
I'm going to kill that kid. Oh, wait, Spider-Man's having
throw
a
the
scene here.
sewer."
But all those people are safe
Manhole
behind
cover.
that yellow line. Can't get shot by bullets back here.
Pew, 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 pew. Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway,
Speaking of yellow lines, we're here for the top 5 writers and top 5 artists of 2018. That's 2018. Normally, I thought about this morning, and we are going to go this way. Normally, we do artists first and then writers. And I was thinking this morning, why? Because it acts like the writers are like, we're keeping that secret. But we're going to flip it up. We're going to do the writers first, and then we're going to do artists. Top 5 writers of 2018. Alex, let's start with you. What's your number 5? Who's your number 5 writer?
Ta-Nehisi Coates,
Ta-Nehisi Coates.
writer of Captain America and Black Panther.
I'm gonna throw something out at you. That's my number 5.
Rock on, bro.
Boom.
Ta-Nehisi Coates, coming from The Atlantic. He was a journalist and opinion writer, and then took his first step into comics with Black Panther last year, 2 years ago.
2 or 3 years ago.
He's been on there for a while.
Then they relaunched Black Panther. He stayed on it, and then they relaunched Captain America, and he joined that. What do you think? I mean,
You know what? I had wanted to be on a Captain America book, and I was on the Rick Remender run forever. I did the Nick Spencer. I hated it most of the time. And to finally see a well-written Captain book, at least from what I've seen, I haven't read the Ed Brubaker. For everybody who knows, I love Winter Soldier, the movie. Have yet to actually read the story, so I'm a failure. I'm sorry, but I love how Ta-Nehisi Coates is writing Captain. It actually feels like, no offense, it seems like Chris Evans. It seems like the way Chris Evans would act if he was Captain America, and I haven't read enough Captain to have that kind of
do you have
feel.
any of Ed Brubaker's run?
I've got, I think, I've got 2 issues of it.
Or Mark
Winter
Waid
Soldier.
also?
I never read. Nope, I never
Not
read
the
any
newest one he did, but the one he used to do before, Out of Time, I think it's
No,
called.
no, I never read Mark Waid.
Okay.
And then as for Black Panther, I had gotten. Move my arms so I stop wiggling. I'd read that first issue of Ta-Nehisi Coates when he did that issue 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, whatever it was, and it wasn't for me. And
Yeah, that's the
then-
thing. It wasn't bad. It just felt like you need to read in a trade.
Well, I need
He
to know
used to be
more
really
about
slow
it because
writer.
that first issue was like, what am I getting into? And
I heard people love it. It's great.
Yeah,
But
but I've heard good things, but it
Yeah.
wasn't at that time. It wasn't for me. I was on that kind of cutting block of I need to be getting books I enjoy. And this week we actually had number 7 of Black Panther come out. I was like, holy shit! I'm so excited to get on this book. Can't wait to read it. Next week I think we've got Captain America coming out. I was like, holy Moses, way to go! I like both those books are so amazing, and I think a lot of it has to do with Ta-Nehisi Coates and how he writes these characters and how he writes the book. It's not all dialogue. He actually lets the art do a lot of the talking for him, which I appreciate. I'm one of those people. I think the art really makes the book.
I do feel also, just in terms of his strength as a writer, both those books feel different. Like, they don't feel like Ta-Nehisi Coates writing those books. They do feel like the characters.
Yeah.
And that's always the staple of a good writer, is that I'm not like, oh, I know who this is. It feels like them. It's always that they can be the people that they're writing. And both those books do feel different. So that's
What do you have to say, Garrett?
Yeah, I was just waiting for you.
well, I know, but I thought you and I can share.
why is your top 5? Or,
So when I first found out about Ta-Nehisi Coates, they were doing a special on Good Morning America where he actually showed up, and it was like a 15-minute like spotlight on him, and I just was like, wow, he's actually done a lot. Like, I didn't know he was writing Black Panther at the time, anything like that. So I was like, oh, I want to keep my eye out on him and see if there's ever a new number 1, I'll jump on, because I saw Black Panther was at like issue 6 or 7 by the time this thing came out.
Yeah.
And then we saw the wave of Captain America was coming out and Black Panther was coming out. I was like, oh, I'm definitely giving this guy a chance, because like he's won so many like book awards for his like novels that he's written. So I had an idea that he was already a good writer. And then you read Captain America, you read Black Panther, and the way he tells stories, I agree with you, Alex, that he gives room for the art to lead the story, but he weaves it in a way that like is very enticing. And I know Marvin always has that gripe with a writer, if they put too much of themselves into the writing, then it takes away from the characters. And I agree that like I don't even know. I don't even think like, oh, this is Ta-Nehisi Coates writing. I just think, oh, this is a Captain America book. This is a Black Panther book. And like the storytelling is just so fresh and original. For a Captain America, it's fresh because it's, we all got burned when we wanted Captain America when Nick Spencer started it. And we're like, okay, a War Secret, Hydra Cap, whatever. And then with Black Panther, he's doing something new like Black Panther Scientific Society in space. Like, no one had ever tried to do that, but I think it's working so well because he's playing to the characters and it's universe's strength. So I'm really enjoying his writing, and I can't wait to see what he does in the future.
I was going to say, to your point of what you said, what I say, not to call out any comic writer, so I won't do that. I'm going to go over to the world of movies. He used to be one of my favorite directors. I actually, direction-wise, he's so fine. But also, I loved his dialogue in his movies, Quentin Tarantino. But the last few movies of his just sound like him. Like, none of the characters sound different. They all talk the same. Even though they're way different, like, backgrounds, they all, like, have the same kind of pop culture references. And, like, they all sound the same. And that's what I mean. Like, at a certain point, they're not being characters anymore. I'm just hearing that person talk. And, like, they all sound the same. So, to your point, Ta-Nehisi Coates, I do feel like he's able to, which is pretty great because these are like third comic he's written, second and third.
I think third and fourth. Didn't he do The Crew? Black Panther.
Oh yeah,
Crew.
the miniseries.
And who did the 6-issue run? You were getting it of Black Panther.
Rise of Black Panther.
Yeah,
I think he was the editor on that, or not editor, but like he was like helping. I don't think he wrote the whole thing.
Okay.
Anybody could have wrote it. I guess I don't remember. What does it say? Oh, but to be this strong this early, I think is just a testament to like how great of a writer is. And speak to your point, also like his other work. If you ever get a chance, anyone listen to this, read his articles on the Atlantic. Like he did one about why, like when he first got writing comics, like how excited he was, and then he wrote one when he got announced in Captain America, and people were saying, was he the right writer for Captain America? And he wrote an article saying why he thinks that he wants to write Captain America right now. They're both great articles, and they both show, like, when he goes into these books, he has a purpose in mind, and he knows what he wants to do. So none of these books feel like they're any loss of space. They also feel like you get a lot from them. So my number 5, Kelly Thompson. Hawkeye.
Yeah.
It's great. Nancy Drew, I loved what I could get of it, and then I haven't caught up since, but I am going to catch up on Hoopla. And then West Coast Avengers. I think Kelly Thompson, for me, in 2018, was continuing her Hawkeye run, and she finished that strong. And then going on to West Coast Avengers, I think that's a very fun book. And I every once in a while you need like a Kelly Thompson book. Like we're talking about this like TC Coates, and I really do. And we get to this list later. Believe me, we're going to get pretty deep. But Kelly Thompson, for me, is fun comics, and I love reading her books.
So I'm gonna put it out there. Kelly Thompson didn't make my list, and I think a part of it is that I love West Coast Avengers, but for me in 2017, she was a contender for the top 5, and I think she actually was on my top 5. But once we got done with Hawkeye, there was that long break of time where I hadn't read anything by her. Nancy Drew, I had gotten issue 1, then I fell behind. I was like, it's on the wayside. And West Coast Avengers took me 3 issues to get into it and be like, okay, you know what? This does feel like Kelly Thompson, and she hasn't missed a step. And I think I, as a reader, missed a step. I think I forgot how strong she is at writing. I guess we had read the Gambit Rogue, or at least Garrett and I had read it, and it was good, but it wasn't. It didn't blow my socks.
Yeah.
Where when I read Hawkeye, every issue was top notch. Every issue I was looking forward to. The art was superb. Her writing, it felt like she was Kate Bishop, or like she's writing Kate Bishop. I don't feel as not demeaning what you're saying, but I'm going to let you continue. But Beyonce had the best video vote.
Wow,
she did. So Hawkeye ended in May, I think.
No, I thought it was.
It was earlier than that.
No, I know obviously it's April because number 18 came in April. I checked.
Okay, so then it'd be April.
Was 18 the last one?
I believe 18 was no, it was 16. I think it was only 16 issue run.
Where she's sitting on the
she and Hawkeye are sitting.
I just looked it up.
Pretty sure it's 16.
Number 18. She was on the cover. It said 2018 April something.
Oh really? I was pretty sure it was 16 was the last issue.
Anyways,
I know it came out in 2018, but so it ended strong there, and I do. She did have a break, but she had Nancy June. She had the Rogue thing. The Rogue thing was not the best example of work, but I still felt it was strong. It just wasn't as strong as other stuff. And then West Coast Adventures. I don't know, something about her books just for me. When I need to take a break, it's fun to read. So it used to be for me like that. For me, used to be the Fix in comics like that. The Fix, I don't think has come out for a while, or maybe I just fell behind.
I haven't seen it in
No,
about
it doesn't
3
come out in a
3
long
months.
time.
So I mean, like those kind of books, I feel like a lot of my comic reading has kind of moved towards more serious books and less comic booky books. And so I like reading her books because they feel campy, but also feel like they're not super cheesy. So
Well, my next one's kind of is a cheesy writer. Scotty Young is my number 4.
Okay.
Writing Middle West, writing Deadpool, wrote I Hate Fairyland, and I'm missing one other. Bully Wars.
Yeah.
All books that are not necessarily lighthearted because I just read Middle West today. There were some heartfelt, hard things to read in that issue. But I think Scotty Young is one of those writers, and he's also an amazing artist. But his writing has actually really grown from I Hate Fairyland to doing these other 4 books that all have the right punchlines or have a way of. I am all about the stakes. I'm all about that heartfelt story, even if there is a little bit of darker humor. He knows how to write it, and I think that's what I look for. This is one of those books that makes me feel good. Deadpool, of course, never does wrong. I'm not caught up on it by any means. I think I'm at least 3 behind. But every time I read it, it's like, you know what, this feels like a fun, annoying book, and it's better than it had been in the past. Bully Wars, I am on that train until the
Bully
bitter
Wars
end.
is super fun.
And I think Middle West is one of those books, if you're looking to get a new book, that's one to jump on.
Did that book remind you of Birthright at all? Kind of like with,
Kind of.
Kind of, yeah. It's very character quest driven.
It's family oriented, and I don't understand the world that they had built in Middle West was funky, but I'm excited. I'm interested to see what that book has in store because I don't know what to expect.
My number 4 is Tom King. He didn't make the top part of my top 5, just because there's been, I know, you guys are going to cry, but
stroke.
I feel like there's been way stronger writers this year. Not saying, he's in my top 5. He is a really strong writer.
I guess maybe that's why I did that because you're like he didn't make the top part of the top 5. I was like, well, he's still in the top 5. So
Yeah, right. So I have his Batman is on point. I mean, I think what adds to his strengths with his book is he knows how to pick. I feel like has a huge say in who his artists are on his books. I don't think DC's like, you're being teamed up with Jock. You're being teamed up with Mitch Gerads.
Well,
like, I think
he hasn't had to work with, is it Hitch? What's the...
Finch?
Finch. Hasn't had to
Yeah.
work with Finch in a while.
Right. So I think that he is a great storyteller. I mean, we just had Mr. Miracle wrap up this year. He's doing Heroes in Crisis. We have Batman. So I think this was a really strong year for him. I think the biggest weakness I would say is Batman 50. But no, it was the
10 out of 10. That's what I gave it.
10 out of 10 pieces of poop. That's
That's because you don't like love.
That's not love. That's no plot. But I think that he has really grown as a writer. Mr. Miracle was so good. And I think he does put a lot of himself into each of these characters. Heroes in Crisis, I think we're still trying to get those story beats out, really fleshed out. But like, he's really breaking down the characters instead of, because, me and Alex used to be like, oh, that's not Batman. But he was kind of like, well, this is Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
And Bruce Wayne is Batman.
He gives a better character study.
He strips down the character to who they are as a human being, whether magical powered or not.
Yeah.
So I think that he's going to be a great writer for many years to come, and I can't wait to see what his next mini character is. Like whether we had Vision, which was great, Mr. Miracle was great. And I'm wondering what the next character he's going to dabble in.
It makes me question if it's going to be DC. I assume DC. I'm sure he's contracted into. I'd like to see a Booster Gold. I think he could do a good Booster Gold. And I know boosters.
Which I think we're getting.
I know boosters,
right.
and we're getting more Booster than some So we don't probably need a I don't know. I am interested to see what book he puts out that is a character that I could give two craps about, and he makes me like him.
Right.
Marvin? Number 4?
You're right. March was Hawkeye.
I didn't want to say it.
I got confused with one other book, and I'm going to talk about it right now. My number 4 is Ed Brubaker. I was confused. Kill or Be Killed, the final issue came out in April. So
That was number 20.
okay, that one's one. I really fucked up both these. But Ed Brubaker, Kill or Be Killed, was one of my favorite books of the year. And it was so strong. Like I think that's the only thing he put out this year that I read. I think. But it's so strong that I had to put him on this list because I love that whole series.
I forgot that book came out.
It's very early on in the year that it ended.
That book for me was what comics should be, like in terms of arts and the writing. The whole thing, plot wise, was fantastic. I don't feel like there was a weak issue in there. And from beginning to end, it knew what story it wanted to tell. And when we got there, I feel like it succeeded. So Ed Brubaker is one of my favorite writers. He's doing more movies now, which is kind of sad for me. But he is coming up to do Criminal. They're doing a new Criminal series. They're doing Fade Out 2. And they're doing, I think, a criminal novella, too. Like, he's writing a prose novel. So I'm excited to see where he goes in the future. And he's been one of my favorite writers for a long time. But this year, with that comic alone, and tune in when I did my top 5 series, might be on there. With that series alone, I feel like that's one of his best works. So he had to be on my list.
I think he's one of those writers that you don't see very often, and when he does come out, he does do amazing work. And now that you're saying Fade Out 2 is coming out, and I forgot that Criminal's starting up again, that makes me excited for next year, where I think Brubaker actually could be on my list for the top 5.
Alex, number 3.
My number 3 is actually a combination because they both write the same book. They're on the same book. So it's Tom Waltz and Kevin Eastman.
Oh.
So don't be giving me that snarky look of, you cheating. I'm not cheating. They're literally both credited on the same arc or same
Which
thing.
one's stronger, though?
That's the thing is, though, I don't know which one is
I feel like Tom Waltz is actually
the writer, and Kevin Eastman, I'm sure, is the
like the
consultant.
producer.
You only say that because you both share the last name.
I'm Walls.
This is
He's
Waltz.
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 You just spell it wrong.
No.
He's a long lost
Not a
uncle.
dance.
So I will be the first one to tell you that after issue 50 of TMNT kind of lost face. It kind of got away from what I was used to and what I really enjoyed. In the last probably, I'm going to say 15 issues, this book in general, TMNT, the ongoing series, has found its stride is getting back to, basics. It's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They're actually making an appearance. It's about them. It's about their family, whether it be the 4 turtles or how they go with their father, Splinter. And these guys are making me love this book. And after I read issue 88 and the outcome that has happened, I told these guys, I almost cried. Reading this book, what had happened really welled up in my chest. And I was like, holy shit. If I weren't in a good mood, this book would have made me cry. And that's what I want from a book. I want a book that makes me
Feel feelings?
have feelings.
Since you're dead inside?
Since I am a robot, I'm not a robot, but yeah, since I'm dead inside and that machine that pumps that black sludge through my body, it needs an update. And I think that Tom and I think Kevin have really found what makes this book important, and that's the biggest thing for me. They only write this one book. So for me, TMNT, it's top notch.
Well, I see why they're on your list. You're on a first name basis, so obviously you have strong connections.
We're homies.
Garrett, what's number 3?
My number 3 is Jeff Johns. Yeah, I know. He's kind of he's a left ball pick because he's not really doing that much. I don't even know if that's a good phrase.
I don't know if that's a phrase at all.
He's doing 2 books though.
I know. Well, yeah, now he is. But
Hey,
so
gotta give
this
credit where
year,
credit's due.
this year is starting in May. Doomsday Clock came out, and I've never been whatever date it is, calendar man.
I'm just trying. Was it actually May?
Yeah, came out last year.
Like
It
2017?
started. Yeah.
No, came out in 2018.
What?
Yeah,
There's no way.
it's on.
Cyborg, look that up.
I'll look it up.
Because
Yes, there is a way.
it couldn't be that way unless they
I
had.
think it came out. Okay, maybe it was November 2017, but it doesn't matter when it came out. It was going on.
I know,
during-
but I'm just I have to question you because it's wrong. I think. Anyway, Jeff
whatever.
Johns.
Anyways, Jeff Johns, like you can tell, like when he went away to do movies and whatnot, we talked about it on the show. Like it's very sad because he's a great comic book writer. But when he came back on Doomsday Clock, like I read that first issue and I read it twice. Yeah, I read it twice in like the first night that I got it because it was just so refreshing to see a writer who cares about a book so much that he will like put in that extra detail. But he's really great at like not confusing people. I think he knows there's such a grand mythology with like DC characters that he has a really complicated story, but he's going to let any reader of any level, entry, advanced, whatever, come in, enjoy the story for what it is, and still leave it with the message he's trying to portray. And also, like, very late edition would be Shazam #1, which I really loved. I think it was a great way to reintroduce Shazam to new readers, to readers who know about Shazam, or readers that have read the comic for most of his existence.
Well, let's face it, Shazam is one of the most powerful characters in DC Universe. I'd say he's even stronger than Superman.
Right.
He's not vulnerable to magic.
Right.
But your Soups is. Gosh,
It's not mine.
I think the one thing that I enjoy about Jeff Johns, I think that's a really good choice, is that I don't think anyone else has the power or the, not necessarily talent, but there's something about him writing this sequel to Watchmen to actually have these characters that have been away for so long. Because when we were getting before the Watchmen, I was like, some of these are really good. Other ones are pure
really
shit.
bad.
And this book is immaculate. I think this is one of those ones I need to read all the way through. Like when I was reading Watchmen the first time, it was page turner. I couldn't stop. It was so good. I want this book to be that, but with those month and a half breaks,
Right. It's got a really bad
it does
schedule,
kind
but-
of ruin it for me.
November 22nd, 2017.
I corrected myself.
My number 3. What am I on my phone for? Where'd it go?
Well,
Is it underneath your computer?
there went that short-term memory again.
Guys, what's my number 4? Or number 3? My number
losing
3. No, it's not anything. My number 3. Okay, I gotta find that. Oh, here it is. I found it. My number 3. Here we go. Is Ta-Nehisi Coates. Black Panther, Captain America. We talked about it a second ago. The only thing I have to add, since Ed joined in that conversation, which might have been a giveaway that he was on my list.
To be fair, I already assumed he was on your list. Just where did he show up? I wasn't sure.
What I want to say also, like, Black Panther is doing something different. I think we talked about that multiple times in this show. But for Captain America, which I have a stronger connection to, and a book character that I've loved for a long time, Captain America in this series here is, I think, and if you read that article, it kind of explains it, but is the kind of character that we need right now, and the way he's being portrayed is the way that I want to see him written right now. And every time I read that book, it feels like him, feels like the Steve that I'm used to, and in the story, also the plot is very exciting to read, I feel. And so that is probably, no spoilers, one of my favorite books coming out right now.
It's Captain America.
Yeah.
I got a lot of good things to say about everything. I actually, when we were talking about Captain, when Garrett and I were talking about Ta-Nehisi Coates, the issue where Captain's fighting Taskmaster, that's the issue that felt the most like Captain for me. When he's fighting, he's even acknowledging that he's losing this fist fight, and all it took was Sharon's scream of pain for him to be like, nope, I'm winning this one, and then beats the shit out of him. That to me is like, okay, that would be the Captain that knows defeat, and yet I won't lose this fight. Or that first issue where he's talking about, I don't know what it means to be, a hero. I wasn't that way before, and all that. It's Captain America is one of the stronger books coming up from Marvel right now.
So. Speaking about that Avengers Endgame trailer again, the saddest part of that trailer for me is when Cap says, this better work because I don't know what I would do if it doesn't. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do if it doesn't work. Captain has always been the beacon of hope, always the person like, we'll figure it out. Like there has to be a way. So for him in that trailer to say, if this doesn't work, I don't know what we're going to do, and be hopeless, that's part of that trailer.
To be fair, who's to say that they're talking about Thanos stuff? Maybe they're playing Risk. He's just not sure if it's going to work.
He's crying over it, man.
Intense game.
Maybe he owns America, and he's like, I can't lose it.
Because even though in that trailer, in Captain America series, let's go back here to Avengers Jonathan Hickman. There's a part, or I guess spoilers to that for a second. Just skip ahead like 10 seconds. The main component of the beginning of that story is that universes keep colliding into each other, and they're trying to find a way to stop it. And so they all have one gem at the time of the Illuminati.
Yeah.
All have one gem at the time, and they bring them all together. And Captain America wears an Infinity Gauntlet, and their plan is they're going to blow up a planet. So before they can collide together, and they both they're going to sacrifice one of them. Everybody's in on it except for Cap. He's like, no, we got to find a way to save everybody. And they're like, there is no way to blow up the planet. And he goes, we don't make deals with people's lives, right? And so when we're in the new Captain America series with Ta-Nehisi Coates, even in those first few issues when he's fighting the nuke clones, he's saying to himself, he's fighting them, but he's not really mad at them. He's saying, I'm going to find out who did this to these people because they don't deserve for this to happen to them. Something happened where they went down this path, and these are just veterans that were taken advantage of. And even though I have to subdue them right now, like, I'm going to make sure that everybody comes out of this safe. Like, even the bad guys he's concerned about. And so that's the Captain America that I know. That's the Steve Rogers that I know, is that he always has beacon of hope. And he's always like, we'll figure this out. I'm not here to be the guy just to take everybody down and not care what the consequences. I'm here to say, no, we're all going to get united. And you, like, if something's happening to them, they're Americans also, or like even for the world, like they're humans, and we need to take care of everybody. Even though I have to take them down because they're trying to take me down, I want to rehabilitate them. I want to figure out what's wrong with them, and I'm going to stop whoever's doing this because this is an evil in the world I need to get rid of. Like, we can't do this. And even then, like in which was, I mean, probably the most true part of Secret Empire, even with the fake Cap, the Nazi Cap, even then he's like, lock him up. Nothing about, like, not even close. He's like, he's getting a trial. Like, I want him to have a trial. Like, that's Captain America right now. And that's why I love Ta-Nehisi Coates as Captain America right now. Because that is Steve Rogers. Alex, what's your number two?
Tom King, the king of DC.
My number two is Tom King. Tom King. Let me map this out here. So okay, I was thinking about the top two. It went back and forth a lot. This one and somebody else. We don't know who. And went back and forth, and Tom King, I thought about it. Mr. Miracle, Batman, Heroes in Crisis are three of my favorite books coming out right now. Batman, for me, you guys haven't been on board as long as I have, but I've loved the whole thing. Mr. Miracle, not a bad issue in that thing. There's like every issue for me is mostly a 9 or 10. And then we got Heroes in Crisis, which for me, I know some people online aren't really liking it, but for me, Heroes in Crisis, I feel, have had 3 strong issues. And so this is a writer, and Garrett talked about this a little bit earlier. All 3 of these things, I feel like he did like a one-shot or something too this year.
Oh, Swamp Thing.
That was last year, wasn't it? Winter Special? Or did it come out this year?
No, it came out in January.
I don't remember. I thought it was December.
Yeah, I thought it was like around Christmas. But anyways, if it came out in January, then whatever. But this is a writer who, on these books, and we were talking about that earlier, about having a writer that can write characters, not just write themselves.
Sorry, he had that one part in Superman 1000.
Oh, yes. One of the strongest stories in that book. And also in the Walmart thing, he's writing Superman right now. Which I don't know if you can find those, whatever. But it'd be cool if they put this up somewhere up one day so I can read it. But every one of those, I don't feel like he has like a tone. It doesn't feel like Tom King. They all feel like those characters. But I know it's a Tom King kind of story because he reveals so much of himself in there. It's not in terms of dialogue. It's not in terms of like, oh, this is Tom King. This is how he talks. But I have a feeling every single time, like, the things the characters go through, I feel like he's been through. Right in Heroes in Crisis, PTSD. He used to be in the CIA. and he's admitted that he has PTSD, and so it's a lot about like his experience with that. Batman, almost the same thing, but a person who feels like they need to be 100% for other people all the time and don't really take care of themselves mentally. And then Mr. Miracle, somebody who's dealt with depression. And how do you rise above that? So each one of these things have like a universal theme, and that theme is Tom King and what he's been through. And even though they don't feel like his dialogue, they do still feel like Tom King. And so for me, all of these, because they have that personal touch, are more powerful for it. And that's why I enjoy reading these books. Even though it's Batman, and it's a great Batman story, some of them are fantastic, like the Mr. Freeze arc. Heroes in Crisis so far, at least, has been a good mystery. And Mr. Miracle was fantastic in terms of just in comics, but it's that underlying human quality of all three of these books for me that makes me love these books. And every time a book from him comes, like even that Superman one shot in that Action Comics 1000, still was about him losing his parents and like trying to say goodbye to Earth that's given him so much before it dies. And like he lived past everything that he cared for, and like he cared for the Earth more than his home planet. And now it's finally going to blow up like his home planet did. And so he's having a moment of reflection, being like, this isn't my home. It's an adopted world that I grew up on, but it is my home. And now it's going to be gone. So like living somewhere and making it your own home and finding your own place in life. So that's why he's number 2. He could have been number 1, but he's a very strong writer this year, I think.
I think for me, it's the Tom King writing style is he humanizes characters. And like I said, for the Turtles book, I need to have feelings, and that's all that Tom King knows how to write for me. He knows how to make me connect to a personal problem, whether it be your depression or you wanting to be the best that you can be, and if you're not, then people are sacrificing. In all honesty, that 3-issue arc that Lee Weeks and Tom King did for Mr. Freeze was enough to put him on this list for me, because that was just such a strong story. And then to see how he breaks Bruce down and goes, you know what, Bruce is wrong, and how Bruce is dealing with the Selena Kyle storyline. He really knows how to write a book that really brings you in. And that's what I need from some of these books. I just need to get enthralled in. I need to feel that. I almost need to have that cry, or sometimes you have to cry. Day Tripper, we're talking about you. But then there are other times you need books that are a little more lighthearted. That's what those Scotty Youngs are for. But Tom King has proven to be one of the strongest writers out there. I look forward to all the next future projects he has going on, and I'm ready to bring it on.
Swamp Thing Winter Special came out in February, so it was this year.
Oh.
It's a very strong year. The man, I do think he's, like Garrett said, he's grown as a writer, because if you go back, he when he first was starting Time Warp #1, which is like an anthology book from Vertigo, and they were doing Vertigo, I forgot what it was called, but there's a black
issue.
And he wrote a story in there. Both those stories are very strong, but they're strong in terms of story and plot, not really character. I mean, they're anthology, so you really can't delve that deep. But both of those, like that, he's always been strong in. And I think his characters have become stronger as he grows as a writer, as he becomes more comfortable being more vulnerable in his writing. So that was this year for me.
Well, I don't remember when Sheriff of Babylon Volume 1 ended. I don't remember if it ended in 20. I think it's been more than a year.
I think so. It ended last year, I think.
But that was one of those books that that was when I was trying to get into the Tom King story, and I need to reread Omega Men, because I think that's one of those books that I read not anticipating such a serious story, that some of these books I need to revisit.
2016 it ended.
Sure. 2 years ago.
Jeez. Yeah,
almost 3 years
End
ago.
of 2016, but yeah.
My number 2 is Donny Cates.
DC.
Yep. So, I think first exposure really was God Country, which I know to come out in 2017, but then we had Thanos Wins, which I think was the spring of last year, which was one of the greatest minis I've ever read. Like, you guys were just bragging about it, bragging, and I was like, okay, I'll fucking get it. Like, so I read it, and I was like, holy shit, this was so good. Cosmic Ghost Rider was amazing. The characterization of Thanos was really great. The duality of death and versus life. You have like, it was cool seeing the Marvel wastelands, basically the apocalypse happen, and the last people in existence are old Thanos, young Thanos, Dog Hulk, and Cosmic Ghost Rider. I mean, there's some other people like small characters.
Silver Surfer.
Silver
Right,
Surfer, yeah. That was great. I think what Donny Cates is doing with Venom right now, like that first arc of Venom was amazing. It was so good. And you can tell there's still a long story that he's telling because like the second arc hasn't been as strong, but I think, we've had enough supplemental material with the Web of Van Nam or Venom vs. Host. Or
The first host wasn't.
that wasn't him. Yeah.
Wasn't Columbine. Anyway.
Oh, Columbine, yeah.
But
the
then
Carnage
Web-
special.
Yep.
So I think he's really building that Venom universe. He's changing it and making it more interesting. He's really dived into the Clintar kind of mythology, and a lot of other books are using that in their own books. Like, that's pretty cool that he was spearheading that. And he's starting to ramp up Marvel Knights, which I read the first 3 issues so far that are out, and I do really enjoy that book.
That is a good book.
I think it's fun.
It has kind of lost its flair from issue 1, though, where that reveal at issue 1, we're like, oh man, look who's putting this together.
Well,
But I
yeah.
realize that's
they're all waking up, basically, and that's just fun from a character standpoint. But I think Donny Cates is probably one of the best writers out there. He's doing a lot of work. He's changing things for the better. And that's what I really enjoy is, we talk about we don't want to read the same thing over and over again, else we'd get bored.
Yep.
So I think Donny Cates is giving us that same nostalgia and love for the character that we have, but he's changing it just enough that you almost become addicted to it because it's new information about this character that you thought you knew 100%, and now you're just learning so much more.
well. It adds. He's a superb writer when it comes to adding a little bit of flair and additional mythology to a character. The Thanos storyline or the Venom stuff. He makes you click onto this character. Like Thanos is not one of those characters. Like, yeah, you're a great character. I support what you're doing, and then to find out he's actually a respectable character. He's actually got good thoughts, or not good thoughts. Maybe that's not the right way to put it, but he knows how to strengthen a character and let there be a reason for them.
Right. A great writer.
Donny Cates just missed my list. I went back and forth. He was on my list number 5 for a while. He's done great work this year. I actually want one thing by putting together this list and thinking about my top 5 series, which I can't reveal right now, but later. What I've been noticing, and it's going to change in 2019, is that this year really for me, I cut down in comics and I really stuck with safe comics that people I know, and I really didn't branch out that much, which I feel like I'm going to change in 2019. But Donny Cates, I heard Baby Teeth is great. Redneck.
What were you fucked up?
No, I was going to say fine for some reason. I don't know why. But also we forgot, I don't know if you mentioned because I was looking it up.
Reactor.
Doctor Strange he did this year.
Oh, yeah. Oh, his run on Doctor
And then
Strange was
Damnation.
so good.
Yeah. So Donny Cates for me, like you were saying, the Venom, all the stuff that you mentioned, and then last year with God Country that came out, he's very exciting to read because I never know exactly what's going to happen. And like you were saying that he builds upon mythology and kind of changes a little bit. I think that's what's most exciting because I'll be like, oh, I know this character. And then he'll introduce something new, like with Cosmic Ghost Rider, who's a character who got his own series because of that. And now he's going to be in Guardians of the Galaxy. Like he created this character who could have been a character that everybody hated and it could have been annoying, but I think everybody fell in love with this new character and wants to see more of him. So it's a very tricky thing to do to introduce new things into mythology that exists already and not be ran out of town for it. So, and it always feels concise. It always feels like when I read something by Donny Cates that I'm not reading something that he didn't think through. I always feel like I'm reading something that he wants to tell. And when he's done, usually he then says, okay, I'm off this book, which is a great habit for him to have. And then Venom, now he's trying a longer run. So every time I read from him, it feels like he's writing with a purpose. And so I really enjoy his writing. I'm looking so forward to Guardians of the Galaxy from him.
Oh yeah.
I
forgot all
have a
about that.
prediction for all of our number ones. It can only be one person, right?
Alex, what's number one?
Chelsea Kane. sorry. Jeff Lemire's number one.
I did
Jeff
think about putting
Lemire.
Chelsea Kane.
She was going to be my number 5.
Number 7.
I feel like I need to see more of more comics.
I want to go
from
back
her.
and read Mockingbird.
I
Because
kind of wish
Man
Vision
Hunters.
was coming out.
Yeah, I know that got fucked up.
Yeah.
Jeff Lemire. Jeff Lemire, Jeff Lemire, Volume 3. I think for the last 3 years,
3.
he's been our number one writer.
He hasn't been for me, but this year
Well, he's
he
been at
really upped it a notch.
I think a lot of his books have been in our top 5.
Right.
So, man, I bet the thing is, and I was thinking about it, and why he beats out Tom King for me is I think he does what Tom does as well or better about characters and revealing parts of himself. But to be consistent in putting out that amount of work and staying high caliber like that, that man needs to be number one for me.
But I think with the high caliber, along with the way the man can do a genre.
That's what I mean. And all the books are different.
Yeah.
Like he's so what I was saying about Tom King, it always feels like, oh, I know, like it feels like Tom King, but it's not written like Tom King. This does feel like I'm finding out about somebody, but I'm not sure if it's Jeff. But it feels like it really is the characters. He really evolves the story to a place where these people feel real in every one of these books. The genre is so different book to book. We're talking Black Hammer. We're talking Gideon Falls. We're talking Royal City into this year.
Descender.
Descender into this year. Terrifics. Century. The man can go from superhero to superhero with a nuance. Like, let's comment on this world and let's do like 2 miniseries at a time in this world while I write the main book. And then I'm doing Gideon Falls on the side, and then doing Royal City, and like to each story for me to feel like I walk in the world and it doesn't feel like it's not thought through. It feels fully realized, and the characters do feel like they really do feel real to me in different ways. Like Royal City, in a way, you feel sorry for those people, you feel kind of pity, but also you feel like I want this to work out for them. And then we go to Gideon Falls, and he can make somebody creepy, like the doctor guy who we met in the last couple of issues, like a character who you feel slimy, and it feels like I'm not sure if we should trust this guy because I'm pretty sure he's bad. Those eyes don't do it for me, so I'm not sure. And then we go to something like Terrifics, where it's like, hey, these guys are pretty fun and funny.
Campy, lighthearted. And then we go to Black Hammer, and it's this mystery in like what's really going on here. I'm not sure. And I feel bad for these people. Oh no, I hate this guy person now to do that twist. And I'm not sure if I like this person now. Are they with that person? So,
well, like with Black Hammer, it's so high into science fiction, but like there's a lot of action involved. But that he's literally created a universe on his own. He writes every single miniseries that takes place in that universe. I mean, how many have come out so far?
Well, and he's
Sherlock Frankenstein,
and he's
Quantum
the
Age,
strongest one.
yeah,
Dr. Star.
Dr. Star,
Kingdom of Tomorrows.
Louise.
Was it Cthulhu's? Cthulhu?
Yeah.
Cthulhu's?
Yeah.
Cthulhu's? There you go.
I mean, this guy doesn't even seem like he sleeps. Like, I guarantee he's putting out more comics than any other comic book writer, like 4 times as much.
Well, and how many books? I mean, he's got books all over the spectrum, whether it be genre or by publisher. And to know what's, next year he's got other books coming out. Phil Hester's doing art for one of the books.
the Family Tree.
Family Tree. We've got Ascender, I believe, coming out next
I'm
year.
so
It's
excited
a continuation from Descender. I mean, this man has gotten books that I am so excited to be jumping on. I don't think I could ever drop a Jeff Lemire book. I'll admit, Black Hammer has kind of lost, the main book has kind of lost its flair, but I think that's intended to be not as exciting. We're following Colonel Weird through this wackadoo world, him trying to get back to where he was, trying to find his friends. And the best thing is he's got all these books that are tying into this. It's Black Hammer is like what Turtles, all the side things going on. Jeff Lemire, you are one of the best writers out there. Continue doing it so we can have a quadruple year of Jeff Lemire.
And if that guy has a family, like, how does he see them? Like, I
8 hours a day, I'm working.
I mean, he just got to be. I doubt he's definitely not a slow writer, because if he was, we wouldn't be getting as much content. But like, that is any comic writer. That is how you do it. That's how you should strive for, is to
I was
do
just
what
looking
Jeff Lemire does.
if we missed anything. I think we talked about all his works that came out this year. But I think actually, to answer your question, that interview I read with him, I do think he does block off like 8 hours. He doesn't like work past it. So that way it's like he counts to the purpose and not like, hey, let me just walk around for like 3 hours and figure out what I'm going to do. The thing I wanted to say also about Jeff, I think this year, so the thing I love, and Black Hammer actually, I think I still enjoy Black Hammer. According to what you said, I didn't feel like it really, even though it's changed, like it went a different way, I still am interested in see what happened. But with Royal City, to take a story that you thought was going to be an ongoing and be like, no, I feel like it needs to end here. Like, this feels right for the characters. It feels like I've told the story I wanted to tell. Let's end this because I feel like this book is done. So to be in that mindset, to be like, I'm here to tell stories. I'm not here to sell books. And to realize that, like, this book is doing pretty well. People love this book. But I'm sorry. And he said in the back of the letter pages, he was like, this is where it needs to end. I feel like this is the natural end to this story. And we got here in a way I did not expect, but we're here. And if this is a story that needs to be told, and these are where the characters want to end it, it's going to end here.
Yep.
And for me, I have the highest respect for anybody that's willing to be like, yes, I know I'm successful with this piece of work, but in order for me to tell you or like have the art that I want to create, it needs to end right now. And I know I promised you more, but sorry, like this is where my story ends or their story ends. So Jeff Lemire for me this year is so fantastic. All those books I love.
What was the book that he and Snyder worked on together?
80 last year.
80. It was last year? Okay.
I was looking it up. Yeah. He also did God, what was it? I was just looking it up. Never mind. I was going to recommend something that I just saw on the list because I was going through to make sure we didn't miss anything, but it's from like 2 years ago. Also, if you're interested in Jeff Lemire, and you want something that's completed by him, well, Royal City obviously is done now, so you can get that. But if you're looking for something superhero wise that he like wrote a good chunk of, his Animal Man I think is fantastic. So go get his Animal Man. I think it's great. So.
Well, so there's a lot of works coming out that came out from Jeff Lemire. If you're looking into getting into it, Sweet Tooth or Trillium, I haven't read Trillium, so try not to spoil it too much for me. Plutona came out a couple years ago by him.
Plutona is a book I want to read. I don't know why I missed that book, but
because Jeff, the weird thing is that my going back and getting some of these books like Trillium or Sweet Tooth, I want to get Plutona. I would like to read Essex County. There's a lot of books that I'm like, man, if I knew what I know now, I would have been getting Jeff years ago.
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
been part of that.
Essex County is definitely one on my list. I want to check out too.
Underwater Welder I read this year. It came out a couple years ago, but I read it this year. Fantastic piece of work.
I want to make a shout out to Matt Kent if we can.
I want to give a shout out
yeah.
to Matt Kent.
Yeah, he did great this year too. I just think that
He was on my list. So when I was making my top 5, I had a good about 8, 9. Matt Kent was on that list. So I couldn't figure out, like, I enjoy his books a lot, but I couldn't figure out and justify saying that he was in my top 5, but definitely Department H and this year, last year.
end of this year.
And Black Badge.
Black Badge has been really good.
And a book that I'm so mad that I'm not into, Grass Kings.
I know I should have got that with Tyler
Because
Jenkins.
it's the same team as Black Badge. And so, like, if I enjoy Black Badge, I should go back and get it.
Yeah, I know.
I think I'm
That's
tempted
one
to buy issue 1 and then
See how it
go
is?
back. Yeah.
It's all on Hoopla, so I'm going to read it. And by the way, all those books by Jeff Lemire are on Hoopla too. So Hoopla is a great resource if you want to catch up with stuff. So that's our top 5 writers of 2018. We came to a consensus. Not that we plan to, but that's the way it happens when Jeff Lemire's killing it like that. I'm excited to see what he does in 2019. Like Alex said, let's make it 4 in a row. Tick, tack, toe. Wait, that's 3 in a row. 3. Well, I go 4. I play harder. Here we go. Top 5 artists of 2018. I'll start first since Alex went last time. Right behind me. Garrett, what's your number 5 actually while I grab this?
My number 5 is Takeshi Miyazawa from Mech Cadet U. I know.
You know what?
I had no idea.
You know what? And because I have a horrible memory. I went back to a lot of like top best of the year to like look through it and be like, which made me realize I haven't like read a lot of smaller stuff this year. I read a lot of like big books. But I saw Mitch Kid at You in a couple of lists. So
Yeah, that series was so good, but the story might come up later this year. But the art is so good. It reminds me of like the Iron Giant mixed with like one of your like kind of favorite cartoon, like look kind of like it's got that Transformers feel to it. That art is what kept me on that book. And thank God, like it started out as just being a 4-issue mini and turned into a 12-issue maxi. Like, what a great series. And the art definitely sold it, made the robots seem super realistic. You could see like the characters, like I can tell when an artist is really good is when you don't see the same face in every character.
Yeah.
Where there's a specific face that you can do over and over again for one character. And that was super fresh. It was really sad to see Mechadet U end, but he did the covers, he did the interiors, like he made that book his own, working with Greg Pak. And God, I really hope that he's going to do some other comic book work because he really stood out to me. And, I know you guys didn't read Mechadet U, and like, I hope someday you get a chance to read that just to see that great art panel after panel, because it definitely it's breathtaking.
my number 5 is somebody who, for some reason, when I started making those lists, he wasn't on my mind, but once I started putting pen to paper, he came up. Jeff Shaw of Thanos, the Thanos Wins. Fantastic work, Jeff Shaw. I mean, last year he did God Country, and this year he did Thanos. And I don't think he's done more than that, but Thanos, like his artwork for me, feels epic and it looks beautiful. And Thanos, he was able to do action scenes, but also his character work is very strong. And that's why, like, for the upcoming Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm so excited. Not just for Donny Cates, but for Jeff Shaw. Jeff Shaw, for me, is superhero comic books personified. I love the way he draws like Thanos in that series and Hulk. It was just, and Silver Surfer, just like
that pennant stare that Ghost Rider's giving him.
Like, yeah, he's so good, and I just wish we saw more of him. But next year, Guardians of the Galaxy,
yeah,
I'm there.
Guardians of the Galaxy is gonna look so good.
Hopefully, he's not just for an arc and then it turns into other artists. Hopefully, he's like, hey,
I hope that's his
as much
book.
as I can do. Yeah,
I hope that's his
he
book.
definitely deserves to be on ongoing. Alex, number 5,
Rom Gilroy from Farmhand.
Yeah.
Farmhand.
That was a book that, so I realized I talk about it every time. I started reading Chew, hadn't gotten very far into it. I saw this book was coming out. It's like, you know what? I need to get this and to see Rob writes it and does the art for it. The art. I mean, I almost love an artist / writer who does it all. Because that way you know that what you're seeing is what they wanted you to see. That's how they envisioned it to be. And that's what this book is. And I loved it. I love seeing the gruesomeness, the comedy, the little bit of things that he puts in there, either a callback to another book or just the pulp culture references. It's great. And I don't, does he do his own colors normally?
I think he has help on colors.
Okay.
Yeah, that is a standout book. And I agree with your point. Like, when an artist is just as great at art as they are writing, it's a win.
Garrett, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is Mitch Gerads. At least, for Mr. Miracle, that's the only book he did this year. But I don't think he did anything else.
Mitch Gerads?
Yeah. I think that's it.
I think he did. I'll look it up. I think he did something else. I can't think
anyways, what he did on Mr. Miracle was fantastic. I think he definitely gets the New Gods look. I don't know if he did his own colors.
I believe he does.
If he did his own colors, like...
Or was it Jordi Belair?
Jordy does some of it. Well, I got it right here. I can look.
But the way he did those 9
I was looking
panel...
up Farmhand for you.
The way he does those 9 panel grids, and like there were some issues. I'm thinking of the one where Mr. Miracle and Barda are traveling through the different layers of Apocalypse.
Issue 6. It's the best.
Yeah, to get to Orion and Darkseid.
Where they're talking about making the house up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and where he finds out that
They're pregnant.
Mitch Gerads colors, inks, and pencils is his own work.
Fantastic.
Wow. Yeah, that book, I think every artist can look at that book and learn something new what to do with their art. I think the vibrant, greens, yellows, and reds. And I think that also, this book started out with Mr. Miracle looking very depressed and somber, and you could really feel that emotion through the art. Instead of having just a face with a frown, like he actually portrayed emotion in the art in that beginning of that series. And then the joy you feel by the end of that series is, yes, it went in hand with Tom King's writing, but I think the art really does represent what that story was trying to tell. He's coming on to do an arc on Batman soon, I heard, I read. And
I just saw a picture of it today.
I'm so excited for that. And I hope that he can be on more books to come here in the future and find another, maybe it'll be the next one that he does with Tom King. That's like another mini character, but who knows?
Who knows if he's on my list? We can't speak about it now. Rob Guillory does not do his own colors. Taylor Wells does.
It's good colors, though.
My number 4 is Joelle Jones.
Mine too.
Hey, Catwoman and Batman 50, and she did some Batman issues this year with at that flashback issue with Catwoman, I believe. Joelle Jones for me, and I got to go back and read Lady Killer. Sergeant America was been trying to get us on that book forever. This man's ahead of the curve.
Oh, Lady Killers?
Yeah, Lady Killers. And these books for me, Catwoman, I really enjoy the writing, but art-wise, fantastic. Like, I don't know, like what it is about it. It feels elegant. Like Batman 50, she did the design for Catwoman's dress. She did Catwoman's part of that story, and then in Catwoman itself, I think for that character, it does fit that you have somebody whose art looks. It sounds weird to say this, but a little bit classy and classical.
It's elegant.
Yeah. And the clean lines, nice muted colors, and the action itself isn't too abrupt. It's kind of like almost like a ballet, and that's what you need for that kind of book. So when I read her books, it's kind of a relaxing thing to read, Catwoman. And so for me, that art is different for me from wanting to have in a comic book, but I found this year that I really do love her work. And then when she did that Batman issue, I'm not sure if that's this year, in the desert, the
34 and 35.
Yeah, that must have been last year.
Where they're going to talk to Talia.
But I remember the sand in that issue was just fantastic. Like the detail in her work. So that's also like it's elegant, but also very detailed. So it doesn't feel like it. What I said before about clean lines, like it does feel very real, but also very dreamlike in a way.
Does Joelle Jones do her own coloring?
I believe so.
Okay, because when I think of Catwoman, that's what I see. This vibrant, light, bright colors. They're just Joelle Jones is one of those clean apples that you find on a tree, and I just want to pick it because all I can think about is issue 34 of Batman going. That is one of my favorite issues that Tom King had done, and a lot of it had to do with her art was so superb. Catwoman, I hope if they ever make another Gotham City Sirens, I hope it's her art doing that book.
That'd be nice.
Because she's just so vibrant, so elegant. She's got this not lighthearted isn't the way to do it, but she's got a flow, and I love it. And that's what I want from a Catwoman. That's what I want from a I don't know the right. It sounds horrible, but
she doesn't color herself. Laura Allred does, but
then I got to give top notch to her.
Yeah.
Way to go! Yeah,
they work well.
Joelle Jones is a peach, and I want more. I almost want more from her. She's a lot of fruit.
I really like to see a lot from her for 2018. The Catwoman's a good example, and I hope that book continues as long as possible. But she is somebody who I want to read more for create her own work because I feel like she probably has more free reign on that, and so I kind of want to see her at her full potential.
I think, Sarge. I think you've got Marvin and I talked into it. Maybe even Garrett. We should read some Lady Killers.
Lady Killers. Garrett, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Jen Bartel. Very, very new. I mean, does the art for Blackbird and did that issue 6 of Black Panther.
Yeah.
That art is some of the crispest art I've ever seen. Like, I'm not going to
most crisp art.
She might do her own colors. I don't know. That's obviously
we need one of these times we're going to just have to do colorists.
Yeah,
top
who
5
their colorists. But that art looks so good. Like that could almost be a silent issue,
Mm.
and I would still buy every single issue because I wouldn't care what the story is because it's just the art looks amazing.
Well, I think that issue of Black Panther was probably the best looking issue I had seen, and a lot of it was what a way, such great lines,
Right.
and the definition on some of these characters looks immaculate.
Well, for issue 1 of Blackbird, Fiona Staples did a variant cover.
Yeah,
And then to read the comic in there, like it matches her style very well with those thick, saturated colors. But I really do think that Jen Bartel is going to be that huge new art talent. And it just shows because, I feel like there's been a gap in my comic book reading, which is like I've been waiting for Black Magic to come back. Whichever that, I don't even know what happened to Greg Rucka, if he's dead or not. But this story is the magic and the wonder of it all is really sold by her art.
Yeah.
And I really look forward to continuing to read Blackbird. And man, that art is just, it reminds me kind of Moonstruck, like that it's magical. You got your neon colors. And it just really works well in this book, and I can't wait to see what she does more in the future.
Alex, you read the book, Blackbird?
mm-hmm. I've only read issue 1. I haven't gotten issue 2 yet.
Okay.
3 issues have come
I
out.
should get into that. My number 3 is a man who also, I believe, only put out one piece of work this year, but it was so immaculate. I got to put him on this list. Sean Phillips. I believe he said, go back and listen to our Kill or Be Killed reviews.
He brought out 2 pieces of work this year.
What was the other one?
The All My Heroes Are Junkies. All My Friends Are...
Oh, I haven't read that yet, actually. And I need to get on that because, like I said before, I'm a little behind. But Sean Phillips, when you go back to those reviews and listen to them, I praise so much his, I call it the time acting, because his character and his facial work is so fantastic. Like, the panel work in those comics was pretty simple, but it's effective for the story that they wanted to tell. But the way that each character interacts with each other and the acting that they do, for me, really made Kill or Be Killed feel very cinematic, and in a way also kind of immersed me in that world more than I'm usually used to in a comic book. Like, for me, reading Kill or Be Killed, and I think I've mentioned this multiple times, because of that simple panel work and also the realistic faces and the acting like that, it kind of, at a certain point, doesn't feel like you're reading anymore. It feels like you're observing. And that's what I loved about that book when I was reading it. It felt like every time I read an issue was like watching an episode of a TV show, which probably means it'll adjust well to the movie that they're making. But Sean Phillips has Criminal. I love Criminal. It's fantastic. I get into Fatale. But Sean Phillips and Ed Brubaker together are such a great team.
And they did the Fade Out.
Fade Out, like that
And the one
team
thing
and Betty Brew.
I want to take the shout out to
Betty's, she's also part
amazing.
of that. But that team together, and especially Sean Phillips on that piece of work, is anytime I see that team, I'm on those books.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, they proved why with Kill or Be Killed.
I just think of that first issue when they're at the asylum, or the psychiatric ward, like the snow and like
Dude,
the colors.
yes.
Yes.
That was amazing.
Alex, what's number 3?
Andrea Sorrentino.
Sorrentino.
I forgot what the book was.
Gideon Falls.
I couldn't remember the first
Did
word.
the Old Man
Gideon
Logan
Falls.
this year too? Or was that last year?
That was 2
More
years
Secret
ago.
Empire.
It's a little bit of Secret Empire.
Was Secret Empire this year?
2017, I think. Was it? Did it end this year?
Oh, maybe you're right.
was
Maybe
last
because Mark Waid and Chris Samney wrapped it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably last year.
So anyway, the only thing I think he's doing right now, other than maybe a random cover here and there, is Gideon Falls, and that I think mostly I give him credit for the fact that face of that creepy thing is that scary, that it haunts my nightmares when I see that doctor. It scares me going, this book is scary because of the art. But the other thing that I always think Sorrentino is so strong on, when you need to focus on that one thing, but he still draws the whole page, you zero in on that section, pulls it up big with a magnifying glass type thing, and you're like, hey, that's what I should be seeing. Or when they're setting up the traps in Norton's room, here's this trap, this is how it works. This is this trap, this is how it works. So methodical on how the art works, or even a callback to Old Man Logan. He was so good on that book.
It's like organized chaos.
Yes.
Like if you looked at it at first glance, it just looks chaotic.
Mhm.
But if you actually pay attention to the detail that Sorrentino puts in that art, you should read it like it's nothing.
Well, and that's the other thing is you're right. If you were fresh on this book and you're like, I don't know how to read this because I'm all over the page, he really does guide you on how you're supposed to read it. And I think of the issue of Old Man Logan, and it's like issue 17, whatever the samurai storyline with a hand or whatever it was. And this book is just wavy everywhere. It reads so eloquently due to that art. And there's a Jeff Lemire book for you that you should be reading. Is that Old Man Logan, the first 15 issues, because that book was amazing.
So for me, I'm not sure if he's on Garrett's list, but Sorrentino for me was on the list before I made a list, and I just didn't put him on the list. I'm not sure why. Maybe because it was that one piece of work, but he does do a fantastic job on that book. I definitely do feel like a different day he would have been on this list for me, but for some reason, I just out of the 5 I picked, I feel like
there's nothing
couldn't
like
put him on this
that
list.
stands out to me like a scene or anything like that. I just think that he's very talented, but I can't think of one piece of work that I'm like, that's the best art I've ever seen.
One thing I will say that I love about his work is kind of something Alex said already about the way he tells the story and like isolating something so that you pay attention to it. In a way, for me, like Sean Phillips, we'll go back to Sean Phillips for a second, and I'll relate them to some movie directors, is like a Francis Ford Coppola who brings out great performances in his characters. And it might not be that he's the greatest shot director, he really isn't, but I know the performances are going to be there. It's going to be powerful for that reason. Andrea Sorrentino is like a David Fincher. Like those, I know it's going to look beautiful, and the shots that he gives me are going to blow me away, and they're going to be very like strange. Like he'll use the shot to scare you in a way, or make you feel isolated. Like when he goes into the after what's his face. And the black, it's not the Black Barn, really. When he's like in between worlds or whatever.
Yeah.
The way that it's drawn is the way that he uses the techniques in that scene is it's made to make you feel like I don't know what's going on. Like I think I mentioned this in one of the reviews. Is like sometimes it's really close up camera angles, so that way you feel scared, but you can't see everything. You don't know what's going on. And then you feel okay, and he'll back up and like, here's everything. And that's when you're like, oh, okay, now I feel some sigh of relief because now I know I can see everything and know that this character is okay. But for me, Sorrentino is great in that aspect. And I do love his work on Gideon Falls. But I don't know. Like, if you were asking me last week, I probably would have put him on the list. But
Well, I'd say if Gideon Falls was on top of your list, he would have been on your book list. Because I can see your killer be killed on there.
Fantastic. Garrett?
My number 2 is Riley Rossmo. Riley Rossmo has done quite a bit of work actually this year. He did Deathbed. He did the TMNT Batman Part 2 came out this year. The last part of it came out this year. Like the second half.
I thought that was J.H. Williams the third.
Oh, wait, you're right. Just
Yeah.
kidding.
Was that no?
No, Rossmo did Shadow Batman.
Yeah,
That's what it
yes,
was.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
I was like, no, he didn't.
Different crossover.
Still Batman, though.
Still Batman.
Deathbed, Batman Shadow, and then we
Martian
had
Manhunter.
Martian Manhunter number 1.
And sometimes he does random side issues for just other books.
Yeah, I was going
Right.
to say, I feel like he's done other stuff. I'll look it up while you talk.
Yeah. There's something about his art and the way he draws Batman, the way he can draw these characters in a way that's like you would think that they look goofy, but he actually does it in a way that makes them look stern and like driven, and you can tell by their facial expressions when they're more like comical, but you can tell when they're more serious. I think he gives you a different perspective of art that is so refreshing and it's so pleasing to the eye that when he does come around, you're like, oh yes, an arc with Riley Rossmo, like it's going to look so good.
He did the third issue of No Justice this year.
Oh, right.
Shit.
I didn't remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
He also did, and not to interrupt you,
You're
but
fine.
I remember Alex brought up like 3-4 weeks ago that he wants to start getting into Proof, the Bigfoot series. He does the art for that series.
He has the
Yep.
Oh god.
And that was the reason I got on it. Like, oh man, I love that art style. That's great. Haven't read it. And it's the writer of Rasputin. And that Rasputin 10-issue run. Sarge, I know you will appreciate that. Rasputin was an amazing 10-issue series.
Well, and then like Deathbed, I thought was so strong, because the amount of detail, because like Diego Luna is the main character, and like he's like the most interesting man. He's done so many things, and what Riley Rossmo can put in a panel is amazing.
Yes. Spectacular. That book was so much fun. And I know when it first came out, you and I were talking about, I don't know if I need this book. I'm glad that you and I hopped on that because
Is it over?
it's only a 6-issue run.
And it was fantastic.
Who was the writer?
Joshua Williamson.
Oh, okay. My number 2 is Mitch Gerads. Oh, yeah?
Hell yeah.
Buddy, we're on a roll. Mitch Gerads of Mr. Miracle, and I didn't look up if he did anything else, but Mr. Miracle is the reason why I put him on the list.
I think the amount of work that he put into Mr. Miracle, I don't think he had time to do anything else.
So, yeah, I guess he drew, inked, and penciled.
Did all the variant covers of it.
And colored it, yeah. So, Mr. Miracle, for me, art-wise, is a success because you have 9-panel grids most of the time. I think it's actually probably like 95%. Yeah. And to tell a story, once again, the same thing with A Kill or Be Killed, in a simple way, but not so simple. It's actually harder to restrict yourself to a certain grid style like that. And to be able to tell that story, which seems like it should be grand, right? There's like a war going on. He's fighting Darkseid.
Yeah.
But when you really come down to it, the most powerful things I remember from that series is the beginning when he tries to kill himself. Batman in the crib, he might suffocate the baby. When they break down and he's like really upset that they have to give up their son. When his brother dies. And when that whole issue when him and Barda go on that date, right? And
is that where they're kicking the shit out? That's issue 6?
Yeah.
Yes.
And also when Chief tells him that I'm pregnant. Those little moments to find the nuance of everyday life like that, to be like, and I think that's the point of that series, and he really does show it well, to be like, it's, get out of your head. Quit thinking about the grand things. It's this small stuff that really matters in life and is going to make you happy. And those moments I remember in that book because I feel like Mitch and probably Tom made them feel important for those characters. So, and the way that they looked, going back to like how Sean Phelps does, Mitch Gerads in this series really did great facial work and like made you feel for these characters. And I don't know, it's something about it where like I fell in love with these two characters so much so that when they announced that she was pregnant, I'm happy for them. When they announced that when Darkseid's like, hey, I'll end this war if you give up your kid, we had a debate here being like, do you do it or not? Like and I felt like it was, obviously I knew like it's not real, but like
but
I did feel a little. I felt a little bit like, hey, what would I do? And I actually kind of thought about it for a little bit. And it's like, what do you do? And it actually felt like in the back of my head, it tricked me a little bit, being like, this is a real thing I got to worry about. You know what I mean? And it was the art that was a main component of why this story was so good. And I think it's Mitch's colors, like you were saying before, and the ink work, everything about it for Mitch.
Well, I think a part for me is it's the facial structure, but it's not even when he draws like a regular face. When I see Mr. Miracle smile and the slit in his suit, apparently, or maybe it's like spandex to his face. I don't know how his suit works. The logics don't make sense, but he smiles and you can see his teeth and you can see how excited his face is when Barda tells him she's pregnant. And you're like, holy shit. Whoa, mind blown. So great. That whole panel, that whole like 18 panels of them fighting through that hallway leading to the throne room or whatever room Orion was in. I love that 2-page spread. That is so great. Or I just that book in itself. I know Tom King wrote it, but it felt like the Mitch Gerads book. And I think that's what I want from some of these books. I want to see the artists be emphasized for what they can do. And that's what Mr. Miracle was. It was a story well told. But man, that art, if you didn't have Mitch Gerads, I don't think that book would have been as spectacular. I think he brought a cartoonish yet realistic tone to it that I think you needed. Because that is a hard thing to... The message is hard to put in there. What makes you happy is all that's important. And that's what Mr. Miracle needed to see. We see him start out being depressed, and what a way to bring you into a book is someone who has slit their wrists. wow, that's some deep stuff. And I think Mitch knows how to handle some of these things. When you see him do Sheriff of Babylon, that's another great book that he's been on. And again, we got some serious things in that world.
You know what, actually, and I think I mentioned in this show when we talked about Mr. Miracle 12, Mitch Gerads, for me, surprised me with that book this year because the first book I read by him was The Activity, which is a great book. But it's about, like, I think it's called like a strike team. It's what it's about. And then he did some Punisher work. He did that Black Widow run. And then he did Sheriff of Babylon. So I always known him as, like, the military kind of guy, and, like, that's what he drew. And I thought, like, that's all he could do. But in this series, and in the series, believe me, when there is violence, it is pretty gross. Mm-hmm. But the other moments are where he shines, because the other moments feel, like you were saying, like personal to Mitch. And, like, I want to get this right. So, like, it can go from the cute baby and the Batman in the crib to them beating up Granny Goodness and, like,
High Father.
And it's like, and both of those moments, for a different reason, feel important in that book. And, like, I don't know. Mitch Gerads, for me, in that was the biggest surprise for me this year, because I pigeonholed him and be like, you're the military guy. And then he comes out with this book, and to show me that, no, he's not. But all those stories, the reason probably why I enjoy them, even though he's pretty good at drawing guns, the reason why I enjoy them is because he's always been good with the character work, and it just shows in this book he is good at that. Yep. So, fantastic, Mitch Gerads, number 2. Garrett, number 1.
My number 1 is Patrick Gleason. So
does it surprise you?
Yeah.
Why would you think of
what else is he on? Go ahead. You're gonna.
He was on Superman. And
was
then,
that this year though? That's what I was curious.
Yeah.
About. Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah, right before Action Comics 1000. He did a story in Action Comics 1000. The first 4 issues of Action Comics, 1000 to 1001 to 1004. I would say that, you know, his art style has always been really good, but it really clicked with me, I think, when he wasn't the one doing his own colors, because his art style in Bendis's Action Comics run is amazing. I don't know who that colorist is, but I think Gleason likes to add a lot of shadow work to his art when he does his own colors. And I think they kind of remove that because, Superman, why would he be so shadowy and dark? And it makes that book look immaculate. It looks like Superman should look, and makes Metropolis look like this perfect golden city. You remember that cover to 1001.
Noob.
Al, you want like that cover to 1001 of Action Comics? Like him ripping open the shirt? Yeah. Those covers were so great. And there's a scene that I should show you guys of spoilers, but when Superman and Lois get back together, like when they find each other in that book, it's one page of some of the best art I've ever seen. And it's like no words, just panels. Like definitely gets me in the feels because Clark and Lois forever, But I think Gleason has killed it this year. That last issue of Superman with his family, right before the atrocity that was Man of Steel and Superman the comic. I think that was probably one of the most heartfelt issues that I've read in a long time. Kind of reminded me of issue 7, was it, of Superman when they were at the fair at Hamilton County Fair. So Patrick Gleason killed it. I'm really sad to see him off Superman, but they did announce he's going to be doing Teen Titans, I think, or Titans.
I don't know.
I think you posted it on for us.
Is Dan Mora doing the art in Super Sons, or is he just doing the covers?
He does the covers. Okay. I know if he was on an actual consistent book, which Klaus is coming out next week, another Klaus book.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yeah. Crying Snowman.
Right. Oh, God, it looks good. Klaus is getting old.
I think we need to have that one.
But Patrick Gleason, for sure, favorite writer of the year. I can't wait to see what he does next.
Favorite artist.
That's what I meant.
Marv, number 1.
Patrick Gleason. I was looking up for Garrett here, what he's doing right now. But since you called on me, My number one, and this is the thing. This is actually before the show started. I said, I'm going to give you guys a little back story on this. I said, I'm going to take a risk. This is what I'm going with because I had 2 through 5 down.
Samney doesn't count this year.
Who?
Chris Samney.
He doesn't even remember him.
They just said Samney. And I was
Samney.
and so I'm thinking, what's my number one? I go, am I forgetting somebody? I wrote some people down. I was like, nah, I don't feel like they're number one. And I went through a lot of people. And I had to justify them to myself. I don't care about you guys. But to myself to be like, why? Why would they be number one? Like, and I went through a whole list and I came out with this person as my number one. And it felt right at the time. And it feels right now. And it is Jeff Lemire. So Royal City for me, and I was thinking about it, and we'll see when I say my favorite book of the year. But Royal City for me, not only in terms of writing, feels like Jeff Lemire, but to put out a book that does not look realistic at all, right? His style is not somebody who's trying to draw people that look like they're anatomically correct. But it feels raw in a way that makes you understand, like it feels like they are emotions, like you can see the emotions better than if it was realistic. Like it would be harder if it was realistic to draw the people the way they do. And so and when I was thinking about great art this year, I was trying to go through my memory, which isn't the best. I have admitted multiple times, but the one scene that has never left my mind and keeps coming up whenever I think, what's the best thing that I've seen this year, is that panel I bring up all the time where Tommy is over the family and the water is falling on him and he's kind of like the umbrella for his family and they're all like at his funeral. Has never left my mind. And then I was thinking back also to that last issue because the whole series for me feels like a downer after downer after downer. It feels like Jeff Lemire is trying to make you sad every issue.
We three, here we come.
And then you get to the last issue and everybody finds peace in a way. And the way he draws that issue for me, like that raw feeling I was talking about before, just made me feel so happy. Not only like for these characters that are fully realized in terms of how they act in the writing, but even they are like coloring wise, like the watercoloring that he does, it just for me felt right to make him number one based on that book alone. So
I respect that choice. I did go with a writer/artist as my number one.
Oh yeah, you did.
I did. I went with Sean Murphy.
Ooh, see, he was a contender for my number one.
I forgot about Sean Murphy. He would be up there, yeah.
He blew my mind away with his Batman White Knight. I look forward to whatever volume 2 of that book is. What a not even a team. What a man to come out with spectacular writing on one of my favorite characters. What a way to make the villains look spectacular and make me just I just want to sit and look at the covers. I want to sit and just look at the book. What a way to I was blown away. And actually he was not on my list until I sat here tonight going, you know what? There's got to be someone else that I love more. And I was thinking, oh, Tokyo Ghost. Holy shit.
Oh my God, I miss Tokyo Ghost.
I need Sean Murphy. Chrononauts. I want Sean Murphy. Batman White Knight. Okay. Sean Murphy it is the number one choice of one who can write a great book and who can make me think this is hashtag my Batman. Even if it's not my Batman.
So I just got my girlfriend, I got her the deluxe, that complete edition of Tokyo Ghost.
Yeah.
And I literally, she opened it. I ripped it out of her hands and I just stared at the cover for 15 minutes. I'm just like, God, this is a fucking great book.
Yes, it is amazing.
And then Batman White Knight. I mean, I just think of the scene where they're in Joker's cell and there's the million different versions of Batman in that one panel. Oh my God. Yep. No one can put as much detail. Maybe Riley Osmo or some other people like that could compete against him, but
I wouldn't want to put Riley Osmo and Murphy against each other because they both have such good strengths. Like, I think that Riley Rosmo actually makes Batman look more of a what Batman would look like. He's obviously not going to be built like a brick house. When the last time I saw him do Batman, I think it was in issue 34 of the New 52 run, Batman's kind of skinny. Batman's in shape, but he's not built like a shit brick house.
Can I say, so when I was thinking about writers and artists, I thought in terms of what books I enjoyed this year and then kind of try to figure out, was it the writing? Was it the art? And White Knight did come up in my head. And it definitely is very strong. And Sean Phillips, even for like writing, I feel like he would be up there.
Sean Phillips writes.
Sean Murphy, excuse me.
Oh.
I'm talking about Sean Murphy. Whatever you just said. Sean Murphy. But for some reason, like, I don't know. There were so many people I could have put on these top 5 lists. He's definitely up there. And I really enjoy that book a lot. I just didn't, for some reason, I just couldn't put him on.
I think our lists are always a victim of the spring of the year we just got done with. So,
well,
a lot of my books are from earlier. I mean, a lot of my people are from earlier.
I had Kate, does it Neemsick from Maneaters? Because I literally just read that issue and I thought, oh, that's really good. I had David Peterson, who's doing the Macroverse Turtles covers. It's like, yeah, these are all great, but I need something that's got a little more
something that lasts in your head.
And White Knight, I actually have 2 of these issues sitting on my table downstairs. Like, you know what? I love that book. I love that issue 8. I love how that book made me feel. It had its detective work. It had its brute force. It had me kind of questioning, is Batman a good guy? No. And everybody else on his team is like, you're not you. You're being a dick. And I would know I'm a dick.
Patrick Gleason is doing Young Justice.
Oh, Young Justice. That's what it is.
With Bendis.
Yeah.
Wednesday Comics 605 at gmail.com. Let us know what your best writer and artists are 2018. 605-215-1849. Drop us a voicemail if you'd also like to talk with us. But if you're listening to the show and you left a voicemail recently, I do have it. We're saving it for our Christmas party and the week afterwards, depending on what you left it for. But if anybody that's listening to this show here wants to, 605-215-1849, let us know what you think is the best book of the year, and we will play it in 2 weeks. And that's when we're going to announce that. So speaking of which, next week we're doing our annual Christmas party. We go to a restaurant to meet Steven, say how he's doing. And then the week after that, we'll go have Christmas and get all cheered up and drink some apple cider, get some presents, and then we'll come back and go to the School of Hard Knocks and knock out the top 5 series of 2018. And we want to know what your number 1 is. So it's 605-215-1849 or tweet at us at Wednesday Comics or Facebook.com/Wednesday Comics Podcast. You can post there also. At Alex Pastrello, let him know what you think about his picks. At Garot2188. At Marvin_Salguero. Also on Facebook, like the page and share it with your friends, please. You can also subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, and Spotify. It also, if you ask any kind of smart device, Alexa, Siri, if you say play the Wednesday Comics Podcast, all of them play it. So you can do that too if you don't know how to find it. Just ask them. We have book club, right?
Wednesday Comics, League of Extraordinary Gentle People, proudly presents
Saga the Swamp Thing, Volume 2.
That we will be talking about the week afterwards.
January 4th, yo.
So make sure you read your copy and join us for that discussion. 605-215-1849. Drop us a line. Know what you think of Saga of the Swamp Thing book 2. Also, rootsoftheswampthing.com, your definitive source for all things Swamp Thing. Go there and visit the only place that you should see the avatar of the green at DC World Swampy on Twitter to get constant updates, or facebook.com/Wednesday Comics. Facebook.com/Roots of the Swamp Thing. Like that page also and share that with your friends, please. Also visit us on YouTube. Search us on YouTube. You can see the Gauntlet on there, and you can listen to this show if that's why you want to listen to this show. We are looking. We're making a change to the Gauntlet, so look forward to that. And you probably actually have seen it by now. And then look forward to more video content because I want to put out more video content. So that's my goal for 2019. So next week, Christmas party. Gonna be a fun episode. Gonna have some laughs. Maybe we'll talk about that clause issue. Who knows? The week afterwards, best of 2018, best books. And I will say
ongoing series, right?
But whatever. This year.
It's just books.
Yeah. The best things we read this year. Series, whatever. I want to say, for me, this is what I want to say. Top 5 writer and artists for me were like, who did the best work this year? Like critically, I can stand back and say that's good. For me, the top 5 books of 2018 are going to be personal to me. Be like, these are my books, even though they might have been people on this list. Maybe didn't like meet this list, but for me, for some reason, those books work. So we'll see next week, or excuse me, in 2 weeks. I'll let you know what happens. But that's the way I'm going to judge those. But okay, so it's the end of the year, baby. 2019 coming around the corner. Pretty soon will be 2020, seeing perfect vision. I'll take off my glasses that year, and I'll have perfect vision.
Doubt it.
And speaking of which, you got the glasses in here too. Do you wear glasses?
No.
He's
Why
got
not?
2020.
So I have good vision.
How come if you're a twin, like you don't have 10-10, he has 10-10?
Doesn't work that way.
You know what? When I was a doctor, I've been a doctor for years, and when I used to
Dr. Bullshit. Got it.
deliver, when I used to deliver twins, they come out kind of attached like coupons, and you kind of have to let them separate, and it's like a 2-for-1 special. So they come out, you got to separate them, but sometimes one's expired. And how are we supposed to know which one of you two came out expired?
That'd be hashtag guess this one because I
okay.
came out first.
Oh, you came out first. So hashtag guesshouse1 came out, and when we say that, that means
Here's what's ever left.
he eats just chicken and broccoli and drinks water and reads Spider-Man. To me, that means expired. So hashtag guesshouse1.
You're going to need some aloe vera for that one.
Hey, he's probably pretty excited about all the Spider-Man shit that's going on right now.
Oh, yeah. He's super pumped to go see Spider-Man in the Spider-Verse.
For Wednesday Comics, my name is Ben Marvin, the #1 fan of hashtag guesshouse1.
I'm Alex.
I'm Garrett, the 1000th fan of hashtag guess this one.
Hey, everyone. Keep turning those pages.